Hi, everyone. Welcome back into Primetime TV. We are finally back again. You just never know when we're going to be here, right? Neither do I sometimes. I'm Barbara Marville Kelly, and with me is my partner in crime, and I do mean crime, Dennis Kelly.
Well, hello there.
I tell you, I didn't know really how to start the show today because it's been a very interesting 6 months, year and a half, whatever you want to call it, right?
Right, absolutely right.
It seems like we're only here once in a while because of whatever's going on in our lives, what's going on in the world, and just, we had the studio move. Have you actually tuned in since we've been in our new studio? We're right here in the Gulfview Square Mall. Very exciting, plenty of space, and I am so beside myself. And, of course, to have my partner with me and to talk about some things to help us all have a better life and in spite of what's going on in the world. In fact, I'm actually embracing my husband's book because this is the book we live by. It's called The 6 Steps to the Fountain of Youth, and it's actually like a manual. It's almost like a health Bible. Isn't it?
It's also like a journal almost. Things that I did daily to get what I got and to be able to change my tone or change myself to match the situation. And that some say that's not being realistic. I say it's being more than realistic. It's being futuristic.
Ooh, I like that. I've never heard you say that. Futuristic. And you know what? That could apply for the last couple of years that we've all been facing.
Human beings has no earthly idea how powerful we can be.
That's true.
How much we can do with a thought, even a small thought. Just like I like to show people how they can, with one single thought, build an empire.
Exactly.
And we call it thoughts are things. If you look at thought as a thing, then every time you think something that's positive, it will affect you in a very positive way, and eventually you will have what you're thinking about. The same thing is true of the negative. If you think negative every day, most people do. We were born negative because that's protection from the wild. However, the 30-some% of people that are positive that are born, they can carry the load.
You know, there's a lot of truth to that, and I remember when you were writing this book, and I'm going to just let you tell our audience, what got you started with writing this book? Because this book is, it's been around since 1996, right?
Right.
Well, actually, you were writing it then. Was it published in 1996? Here, I'll just tell you in a moment.
It was published in 1996.
Yeah, exactly.
The idea, of course, there was 8 years of writing and taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really pinpoint where does the value lie, what chapter gives me more. They're all the chapters in there work on how would I say it, a way of giving to people through the most minute thing, which is a cell, a single cell. So instead of attacking disease and everything from the body, and from the mind, think of attacking a single cell, because the cells are part of you. And one single cell is easier to control than millions and trillions of cells. So you start with the cellular level. Each cell has little receptors, and it receives positive or negative. The more positive you send, the more receptors it has in the cell to live up to those positive thoughts. Same thing is true of the negative. then the cell will take and produce more negative ways of communicating. And that's what the cells we don't want to start to materialize. We want the good cells to materialize and give us what we want.
So in other words, if I understand you correctly, because I've been listening to you for so many years, taking it at a cellular level is much deeper and more effective. And I'm guessing that by doing that, going into the cellular level, it helps to support our immune system because we're at a higher frequency, right, of energy.
You hit it right on the head, gal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, the mind controls everything in the body, all the ligaments and all the cells. And it also controls the brain. And the brain, through a series of neuropeptides, which are molecular messages that send out to every cell. And if the person is negative, then the cells that have soldier cells, there's actually soldier cells that protect us from disease and so on. So the key thing is to try to send the soldier cells good things, like good thoughts. Then the cells will fight like hell to keep you alive and well. But if you moan a lot, if you're more negative than positive, if you don't really feel comfortable in this world, then you send messages out to the soldier cells. Oh, this person don't want to fight. He's too lazy, too tired. We'll let him go. And the cells can find ingenious reasons to do us in. So I know this may be an approach that you've never heard before, but I'll tell you, it's what allowed me to win 6 world titles in fighting and men's full contact karate. And it allows me to be able to do things that most people don't get the opportunity to do in a positive way.
You know, there's a lot of truth to that. Writing your book, The 6 Steps to the Fountain of Youth, was basically taking your program called Try Neurogenics, and I want you to define that because I love this, using the mind as the map.
The mind is the map, the body is the vehicle, and the spirit or the emotions is the fuel. Mm-hmm. It's keeping those 3 going in perfect balance. So it's like a juggling with 3 objects. In juggling with 3 objects, you keep your eye on the ball in the air. You don't look at the other 2 balls. All right?
I just, you know what?
You agree with that?
I so agree with that, and I opened the book to part of this. We're going to do things a little bit different today because I have the book that we live by, all right? We are life coaches, certified, licensed life coaches. We don't get into psychiatry or psychology. We get into what's real, and like you say, thoughts are things, and frequency. So when you put this program together called Try Neurogenics, using the mind as the map to map it out, the spirit as the fuel, and the vehicle, your body is the vehicle. And,
right.
And when all those 3 things are in balance, you have perfect harmony in the body. Everything's working so perfectly.
Yeah, like if somebody says, I want to get stronger. What do? You go lift weights, you do things that make you stronger. Do you ever think about, how do I appeal to every cell? When you take on a cellular level, looking at the cells as kids that play with you and adults that go with you, each cell, it's funny because the cells actually, it's so complex that it's so simple. You don't get in the complex part. You look at a cell as a messenger. You look at the cell as someone that you need to massage, somebody you need to take care of. The cell turns out to be what you think about, what you bring about. The cell also about how you act and how you respond to things. Do people feel better about themselves when they leave your presence, or do they feel worse? All those things. You send a message to the cells, this person is cool, they want to live. I think I'll fight like hell so I can keep communicating with this person.
You know, there's so much truth to that. In Chapter 9, page 255, the Try Neurogenics, the Sword of Success. Try Neurogenics addresses the triad of the body, mind, and spirit, which we just mentioned, mental, physical, and emotional, synergistically working together in order to create peak performance at all times. That's not just if you're in competition or you're looking to maybe lose a couple of pounds or gain a couple of pounds, whatever that may be, but it's peak performance at all time. In other words, it gives you that setup, that foundation for reaching whatever goals you are looking for. And we all have to have goals, especially in today's times, because some of us don't know which way we're going. We don't know where we've been, we don't know where we are, so we don't know how to move forward. So I love this paragraph. At any age in all areas of life, right? It celebrates the aging process in the spirit of the martial artist, hence six-time world martial arts champion. It celebrates the aging process who discovers the joy of adding years to his life and life to his years because he has learned that older is better. If we choose to, we can always keep on improving, expanding, and growing. No one ever told us we had to stop, just as no one ever told us we had to get sick. I'll let you think about that. No, we don't have to get sick and go along with the crowd. We don't. So you have here 1, 2, 3. Are you ready? Ask yourself, how do you feel right now? And I know you can get on your soapbox about that. How do you feel right now? Ask yourself. We use a 1 to 10 gauge, right?
Right.
How do you feel right now? What's your number?
My number right now is about a 9.
Yeah? Good.
Yeah. They always leave a little bit.
Room for improvement, right?
Yeah, it's for an inducement, so to speak. Make it the number 10. I want to feel really good today.
That's good. That's awesome. How do you feel? What is your number? If you have a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, the most absolutely wonderful, what would it be? And now the next part of this page is goaling for it and getting there. Goaling for it. And that's just what I mentioned about setting goals, right?
Right.
So in these times of crazy times, I'm not going to say the word, but you know what I'm talking about. We've had challenges. Businesses are thriving and surviving. People are thriving and surviving. Why is it that some are and some aren't? I'm going to let you answer that. Why? Go for it. Goal for it. Right? Setting goals.
Right. Well, I said I'd never get married again after I got divorced. And boy, did you blow that to heck.
What's that got to do with what we're talking about?
Well,
I'm just saying. Was that a goal?
Yeah.
Oh, it was to marry me?
Well, the goal was to be happy.
I don't know what to say. That's a first.
Oh yeah, well
I just don't know where to go with that.
That's all right. We'll leave it at that.
Other than something that you do teach in your seminars and our relationships workshops and all, that no one can make you happy. No one can make you happy. We make ourselves happy. Now, can we enhance one another's happiness?
I can hardly hear you. Do you speak?
I say, can we enhance each other's happiness?
Well, that's the object. You can't be perfect. There isn't such a thing as a perfect world. If you're striving for perfection, you're setting it up for big disappointment. Nobody else can make you happy. They can only add to your happiness.
Or drag you down.
Or drag you down.
Or
oh, yeah,
very much take it away. They can do that if you allow it. But when we learn how to manage our emotions in these crazy times, and we have all been tested. I don't know anyone that hasn't been tested. We've been locked up in the same villa for weeks, months, and we do get out to clean our cage, right? We get out a little bit. But honestly, it's just one of those things where you have to work at it. And if you have the tools, you can, just like we have.
Right, and people ask me, what do you think about when you think about the cells? Tell me a little bit more about it. Some people are interested and want to find out more, but they don't feel like going to buy a bunch of books.
Right.
They want to hear it, see it, and
feel it.
Be taught it.
Yes.
And what the whole thing is about is frequency. Everything is a frequency. Everything is in constant movement. Each cell has atoms in them. Where there's a neutron, electron, they circle around the neutron at the speed of light. So these little cells, each of them has a little, like a furnace called a mitochondria. Each cell has over 1,000 to 2,500 of these little gals and guys running around in our body. The key thing is to keep that furnace hot, not cold. And that's done through positive thinking, through realizing if everything is vibrating at a certain frequency, everyone is got cells that are really moving in the right direction, then what more is there to life? That gives you the edge over the average person. So if you look at everything as a cellular level, you have much more power than force. A lot of people say, if you say, what is stronger, power or force? What is the dominating factor? Well, actually, research has proven that power is much more stronger than force. Power is something that comes from the heart, comes from love, comes from positive feeling and positive thinking. That's power. Force comes from the brain. It's you push in a person. You overextend yourself a lot. And having a force doesn't give you near the power that you would by using power.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And I love when you talk about frequency, and there's a lot more people today that want to know what happens to the human body with our frequency, raising it, lowering it. And that's one of the things that we are extremely passionate about, because when you look at our body as energy, and if you understand the power of what my husband just said about the frequency and how the cells react or respond, because the cells too have a choice, by feeding it what it needs, by taking care of ourselves and keeping the frequency at a higher level, because guess what? When you sit and worry and fret, oh my goodness, I've got to chew my fingernails off and just sit there and be in a state of quandar and a feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. Those are the two words that are pretty much forbidden in our household. But everybody understands what we're talking about when you feel helpless, when you feel hopeless. What that does is it starts chipping away at your immune system, setting your immune system up for what? Illness. Dis-ease, and dis-ease is one of the first things that causes from stress and premature death in many cases. You've seen it happen, we've seen it happen with friends, families, relatives. It happens, and so do we know everything there is to know? No, we're still learning. We're still learning, but what we do believe, we live. We live what we believe, and we try to share with those of you that happen to be growth seekers and want to know more about the human body and the synergy. And one of the things that I forgot this phrase that you have in here too, hon. Can I? You may have heard this. Continuous and never-ending improvement. This is one of the most important secrets for staying young. You're always asking us, what do we do for staying young? And people say you haven't changed. And, well, you know, we feel some changes, but there's a lot of things that we can still do that we did 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Do you know what I use when people come and they say, what do you do to get them into the right direction? I raise my vibration level. I raise my frequency level.
Yeah, exactly.
They say, what? They look at you strange. But when you really analyze it, there's a lot more to that than meets the eye. And a little bit of quantum physics, because of thoughts are things. You're dealing with the fact that you're creating something out of nothing, but that nothing is always there. For example, Einstein made the comment one time, if you take a little square inch of the air, the world, 1 square inch, and if you could separate the hydrogen electrical energy from the hydrogen atoms, you could light up all the continents, I should say all the oceans in the world, just by 1 little square ounce of this power.
That's right. I love it when you tell that story, because it makes you kind of think about it. Speaking of thinking, in this continuous and never-ending improvement, this is one of the most important secrets for staying young. And then the next part here is the I can't people, saying I can't do this, I can't do that. The I can't people have stopped setting goals and stopped bettering themselves. And that doesn't mean in employment or business or the corporate world, just in general, in bettering ourselves. Change the self-deception to self-direction.
Very
And that's
good,
what
my
we've
dear.
done. Well, I'm reading it right here from your lips to this book. So there. In fact, believe me that you can continue to improve in all areas. You never, ever, ever have to start going downhill. Doesn't matter what age you are at all. That's why in the martial arts you never see the student defeating the teacher. And I have not seen that. We have films of you on YouTube where you were actually doing your machine gun kicks with the teenagers. And I think, what were you, 50 or 60 something at that time?
Yeah, I was 60-some.
Yeah, and they couldn't hold a candle to you, and you were going up the whole line in the gym and back, and they had to drop out in the first line. It was,
Yeah, that comes from really knowing what to do. And what you do to get to know you what to do is you take and go into your mind and realize you have a phenomenal power. You don't have to use force. You have power. Power comes from the heart. When I used to fight in the ring, I would love my opponent. I would respect my opponent because of the fact that he's done this to get this far. Now you can use the same formula to be a world-class martial artist, to be a world-class father, mother, world-class, I call it super kids. Kids that are super kids are kids that will say, yes ma'am, no sir, and will be controlled in a positive way. And not, I shouldn't use the word control, but will be stimulated into a form of ability to do things that most kids at their age don't do.
that's right.
And I talk about proper things. It's amazing what the mind can do and the heart can do. The mind is much less powerful than the heart. The heart has 60,000 bioelectrical energies. The brain does not have that much. The heart vibrates 5,000 frequencies, and the heart, or the brain, doesn't have hardly any of this compared to the heart. I don't know exactly what the vibration level of the heart in some areas, but basically what I was telling you is the consensus of opinion of the quantum physicists and people like Einstein and so on. He said the strongest force in the universe is the power of the imagination. Imagine what you want. Focus on that imagination at least 5 or 6 minutes a day, and again, you will be able to find that you can have thoughts are things and take that to the bank.
I'm glad that you mentioned that about what you just said, because I just opened up another couple of pages to see what I can give that could help you in your life experience right now, depending on whether or not you're deciding to start a new business or maybe improve your personal life just with yourself, whether you're looking to improve relationships with others, friends, family, relatives, doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, because this formula is known as the ultimate success formula. That's on page 263. And there are 6 steps here, but before I mention that, wherever we go, whenever my husband's teaching a class, or we do something on Zoom, he talks about the Q plus S success level.
My favorite formula.
I love that. The quality of the service you give plus the quantity of that service times the spirit and harmony, 2 key words, write them down. If you live with spirit and harmony every day in your life will never be the same as it was before. And only you would know what I mean by that, right? In which the service is rendered equals the degree of success you're going to achieve, whether in a relationship, business, or sports. It's all applicable. Now, do you remember your 6 steps of your ultimate success formula? Because I got them right here. I got them right here. So, number 1 is ask yourself what you want to achieve from this venture, relationship, or decision. I'm going to let you comment on that. How do you decide what you want?
You picture it. You picture getting that what you want as already having it. Like if I said to you, I said, Jesus, or those are New Age, are going to come to you in 2 weeks from today, and they're going to give you everything you want, everything you could possibly want, everything that you need, and the ability to help thousands of people. How would you feel? Knowing 2 weeks that's a done deal. How would you feel?
Exactly.
You'd feel pretty excited, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, why not do this? Why not just imagine you got it, keep thinking it every day, a little bit here, a little bit there, and believing in that, and guess what? Eventually you got it.
That's exactly what I pictured with you. I wanted to have you as my spouse when I first was going with you, and I envisioned that. I saw us as being an item. We became an item, and before you knew it, I was being proposed to, and I've never looked back. We're going to get married again. We're celebrating on 10/21/2021 our 21 years of marriage this month. So that's why I say it doesn't matter whether it's a venture, a business venture, relationship, or even a decision, something as what some may think would be trite, but a decision. Sometimes a decision can make you go into overwhelm, trying to decide, should I do this, should I do that? You know, we pray and turn it over to our Heavenly Father to get our answers and all. You may pray as well. You may meditate. Maybe you've already been there, what we're talking about. But I think today, in today's world, really, after all of this craziness that we've gone through, even those of us that have the coping skills and the skill sets, you think we haven't had our moments? Oh, trust me, we have. But then we remind ourselves on how to manage the emotions, and that's basically what it comes down to. Okay, so number 2, condition yourself for the desired results. Get emotional about it. Paint that picture of what you want and really get excited about it. See the outcome as already being there, and then detach or separate yourself from the outcome so you can take a step backwards to ask yourself, what do I have to achieve to accomplish that? Right?
Right, and I want to add to that.
Please do.
Dennis Waitley, who is a very famous author, trainer of athletes, he has tremendous respect all over the world. Anyway, from his thoughts and travels, he comes up with a formula. And he said in his books, and this is very, very important, it's the wow factor. The wow factor is that if you keep thinking with passion, that thought, as I said, thoughts are things, what happens is 18 to 20 billion brain cells, a separate part of the brain, will vibrate at abnormal rates. And if that vibration is kept long enough, which may take a week, may take a year, may take a day, then your cells will affect every cell in the body in a positive way. You can do marvelous things. And if you don't believe me, just look up the research on that. With the internet, you can dig this stuff up with no problem at all. And really realize that there's so much more to us than we even thought. And the reason that I got into all that is because I wanted to be the one to make a major difference. If you use ancient secrets of the mind, you can create a villa, you can create an empire with a single thought. Just one thought. Helen in prison, good prison. Don't let it escape, because the human being is a sleaze machine. It will sleaze out of success in so many different ways. Don't allow the negative to get hold of you. Just look at this. Thoughts are things. Do you want positive things to happen? Do you want negative? Control your thinking. Anybody that can control your thinking and emotions to the point where they can build a really wonderful life is in great need. I call them superhumans. A superhuman, there's a book written, by the way, called Superhumans. Superhumans are people that can handle their emotions, can help with helping people that need help, can actually work on thinking and believing and feeling good and doing good things. It doesn't take much effort to do a good thing than a bad thing. The results, of course, you can figure that one out.
You know, you just took me back to a memory that I'm going to share with everyone, that I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but how I started working as a single mom at the Home Shopping Network. Do you remember?
Oh, how can I forget?
I was actually, I became a single mom, and it wasn't fun. And this is a true story, which will come out in my books and my book series eventually. But I started working at the Home Shopping Network in the evening, and I was doing inbound calls, selling credit cards. And I was probably about as close to the host or hostess as we are here, which is what, I don't know, 20 feet, something like that. And I watched the sales presentations of all these hosts because I was away from it, but yet I was close to it. And I was admiring these people on how they could talk for as long as they did and be as compelling as they were. And I thought, I would love to do that. I could do that. I could see myself doing that. And then this little voice in my head, no, you can't. You're not smart enough. No, you can't. You're not good enough. How many of you can relate to being raised in the 60s? That was kind of like the persona with some parents. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. Well, I went in there every single day. I sold my credit cards. I watched the host, and I kept saying to myself, I can do that. I see myself doing that. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I had the passion. I had the passion because I love doing services for people, for others. So sure enough, one fine day, and I was also doing this sales job during the day with selling real estate and luxury homes, or at least was trying to. And it was in a tough time at real estate at that time. And I was doing an open house on a Sunday, and in comes bouncing, bubbly Alice Cleveland. And we hit it off. We were both realtors. I was working in the evening at Home Shopping. She was one of the original hosts with Bobby Ray Carter. And she thought I was one of the new hosts. I said, no, I can't. I don't know. And she says, oh, yeah, I've got to open the doors for you. You've got to go see Ed Vaughn over in Human Resources. And sure enough, I went to Human Resources. I had a screen test with Bob Sarcosta. You've heard of him, the $1 Million Man, right? The first host ever with HSN. He trained me. And I was on the air in less than 2 weeks with Zippo training after doing, I guess they thought I had done it before. But the bottom line here was I saw myself doing that. Retired, oh gosh, it's been, I think, 15 years since we've retired from there. I did a vision board. And on this vision board, I had right smack in the center a picture of a TV with my headshot in it. I'm going to do TV again. I'm going to do TV again because I love doing this. I love giving service to others with really good, compelling content, whether it's to sell you a fancy dress, a pair of shoes, a computer. Yes, I did sell computers and did well with it, believe it or not, because I was passionate about it, showed all the bells and whistles. And so I did this vision board, and I had our home on there and a couple of other things, a couple doing the Argentine tango, right? Well, guess what? I got a phone call from John from WeBeam TV and said, I've got something perfect for you. Well, long story short, here I am doing primetime, and I'm also doing the My Chamber TV, where we interview businesses. It's such a wonderful community show, and I love this every bit as I did doing HSN. So those are 2 instances, 2 of them. And guess what? The third one that was very impactful, when Dancing with the Stars came out, and I thought, oh man, would I love to do that. I know I could do that. I see myself doing that, but I'm not a celebrity. Right? I'm not a celebrity. So what happens? I end up dancing with the local stars right here where we are, in the Pasco community, after Paul Friedlander said, oh, let's get you with Lanya and get you dancing with the. So I don't want to make it sound like it's all about me here. It's not. But if I'm able to do that, those times, by just having the passion, every single one of us has the passion. You had the passion to write this book. And I remember sitting on the park steps when we were first going together, basically, and you were using me as a test case to see how the program worked, because I was working the overnights. And I think, how was it that you knew Bill through
the girl
Cheryl?
I was dating at
through
the time.
Cheryl, yeah, exactly. And he wanted to meet you and do your program, and before you know it, he offered to publish your book for you.
Yeah, it was a very warm-hearted, how should I say it? It was one of the highlights of my life. Because what happened is, when I offered to do a free seminar for his company. He had a big company that dealt in nursing homes and things like that. And so I said to him, because his massage therapist was my girlfriend at the time. So anyway, I said to him, or I should say, he said to me, would you want to do a seminar for my company? I was going to do a free one because of his attachment to my girlfriend at the time. So I did the seminar for his employees, about an hour seminar, and he was so impressed, and I was using just about everything we have here in that seminar. And he was so impressed, he said, and I mentioned I was going to write a book. I was in the process of writing a book. He said, what would you need to write a book? I mean, would you need some money? I said, well, I could use a partner. He says, all right. So in a very short period of time, I had accomplished what it took me years to accomplish by having somebody of that nature back my book and back my system. So he called me, he had his secretary call me a couple weeks later and say, I'd like to see Master Kelly in my office. I didn't know what he wanted at that time. When I come to his office, he says, I would like to be interested in helping publish your book.
Yes.
And that was because I kept seeing the book published. Everybody said, you can't get a book published. Back then it was a lot harder to get a book published. So they said, you can't get a book published unless you're famous or whatever. So, well, I'm becoming famous. I win a lot of karate tournaments, but that wasn't what they meant. So anyway, I decided to go on into really bringing all this knowledge together to be able to help people and be able to help Bill and his system and improve his company and improve my life, find the most beautiful woman, which I did. So anyway, it all came to fruition. All you have to do is keep thinking and feeling it. It's funny because when Einstein was on his deathbed, the reporters came to ask him, what is the most powerful force in the universe? Because is it E equals mc squared, the power of atomic energy? And Einstein, they thought, was going to come up with something really big. He said, no, he said the power of, the strongest power in imagination is not E equals mc squared. It's the power of imagination. So you imagine something long enough and you can create a whole new world.
I love to hear you say that. And it is powerful. It truly is. And we're just giving some examples. It just all came to me all at once. 1, 2, 3. Those 3 things. But other things have happened. Along with prayer and meditation, you keep yourself in a higher frequency level. And it's bound to happen. And you just can never, ever, ever give up. Because if you're passionate about setting a goal for yourself, you'll achieve it. I've achieved more goals than I can even imagine, having that little voice in my head, you're not good enough, and having to dispel that and know in my heart I am definitely good enough. And we've proven that, you and I together. Getting back to your ultimate success formula. So you ask yourself what you want to achieve and you get emotional about it. Number 3, take action. Start to do something physically. If you're not motivated, go back and condition yourself even more. Remember, as soon as you set the goal, 10 to 20 billion brain cells are activating, and they have one purpose: to achieve that goal. Number 4 is immediately notice whether your actions are working. Are you making progress? And I know you're going to add to this. Number 5, if they are not working, change your approach. Number 6, once it's working, stay with it. That's the warrior part that will allow you to be able to make whatever adjustments are necessary.
Very good.
You wrote this very well, and we live that, don't we?
We live it for sure. And yeah, I'll tell you one thing that I want to share with you. Over 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And of course, I thought at that moment my world would come to an end. I thought, oh my God. And then I thought to myself, God, why not? Why? If somebody's going to get Parkinson's disease, I can certainly prove that using power of the mind and that you can at least cope with the situation, not cure it, but actually be able to find that you can do things to help other people that have that same restriction. They don't have people like me in most cases because they can't afford it or whatever. Well, in my situation, I figured, well, I'm not going to let it overcome. In fact, I came out of retirement and competed again. and won a first place in full contact point karate with Parkinson's disease. Everybody said that would be impossible.
That's right.
So if I can do what I'm doing, you may not really be, how would I say, you may not be interested in really setting the world on fire, but if you get a little bit of spark out of it, what's that going to do? It's going to get you going. It's going to be a good example. So when people think of me as Parkinson's disease, they don't think of me as the disease. They think of me as the person who's overcoming the disease.
You know, that's right. There's a lot of truth to that. Lot of truth to that.
I believe that through me, there's going to be many, many people, especially when we finish the book and the video, and I'm even working on getting a movie made. Mm-hmm. That would be more to me than all the trophies and all the things that I won. Wouldn't even compare to just helping one person in need.
You know, a lot of merit to that, and we aren't giving up on that movie somehow, some way. But my husband's also working on the missing papers on the master warrior athlete that went missing for goodness knows how long.
I wrote a manual on sports, how it segues into your private life and how it really helps in other areas besides sports. It's like sports are a metaphor for life. And, excuse me, so that was what got me really to write that book. It took me about 5 or 6 years to write the book.
And, you know, we found it. Where did we find that? In the storage unit.
I lost the manuscript, and I didn't have it
It really was missing. And, oh my gosh, it was like finding gold. And we're actually thinking about having this going to print exactly the way it is. The yellowed, they're ancient. I mean, they're in yellow. They've just turned yellow over time. And we thought, let's just go ahead and do this as it is. He's even got his mistakes that are corrected in there, and then bring us to current for the reader on what he's been doing in his life. Because I'll tell you, we've had our moments, and life hasn't always been a bowl of cherries for us. We are happy. We are still in love. We still flirt with one another, and we get along famously well, even though we do have our moments, just like plumbers with leaky pipes. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about there. And with the Parkinson's, we've learned it's not a death sentence. And I've noticed since we've talked about this and people hear about this challenge that you have been blessed with, so to speak, they contact us and they say, I hear your husband has Parkinson's. Can he help us? And of course, we can't make any claims. We can make suggestions and things like that. But you know, when you have a healthy mind, body, spirit, it helps you move forward. It helps you get out of your own way a lot easier, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's your thinking is thinking, so are the results.
Boy, yeah. Who said that?
Zig Ziglar
Zig
said
Ziglar,
that. He
that's
points the
right.
finger too. He says, if you got one finger pointed at you, remember there are 3 fingers pointed back at you.
Exactly.
So when you point your finger at somebody, remember you got 3 fingers that's going to be facing you. That's why you want to make sure that you don't try to, how would I say, piss people off.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're all in this to get happier, to feel pleasure. People are born to feel pleasure. People are born to exceed. People are born. And when you were born, you were the fastest swimmer.
Yeah, exactly. So, transforming tragedies and setbacks. How about that one? That's another part in here.
What's that?
About transforming tragedies and setbacks. We've all had setbacks. This last year and a half has been setbacks for all of us. I don't know anybody that has, oh yeah, we'll just sail through it. Some people may have, right? But it doesn't matter what income bracket you are, what health situation or challenges you may or may not have. We've all had our moments, and so it's how we perceive them, what we can learn from them. That's one thing that I learned from you, is when we are faced with tragedies or setbacks, is how do we handle that? Not everyone has coping skills for that, right?
Well, in general speaking, the successful person thinks as things that are negative as opportunities. Mm-hmm. And the one that is the positive thinker feels that negative things that happen are benefits are opportunities for success, where the negative person would not look at it as opportunities, to look at it as a negative aspect, so no good would come out of it.
That's right. And it is the way you look at things and try to pull the good out from, what have you learned from the experience when you're faced with a challenge and things don't fall into place for you. Let's see, how do you say that? When life's events don't meet up with your expectations is the definition of stress.
Yeah, right. When your life's events do not meet up with your expectations and you fail to manage the results.
Yes, and there is so much truth to that.
And to correlate with that, Anna Weiss, who is a MD, PhD, she wrote a book, The High Performance Mind.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, and this is the part that I really liked about her book, she said, the high performance mind is one that at will can reach that state of consciousness that is most beneficial and, there was the Parkinson moment, most beneficial and, in general speaking, exciting, and being able to do great things. Just to verify the fact that Dennis Waitley said something in the same venue, so to speak.
Yeah, there is, there's so much. We could almost do seminars here every week, with what you have taught out in the community. I found some really great memories from our Tai Chi certifications. Oh gosh, back in 2014, if you go to my Facebook page, Barbara Marville Kelly, and just scroll down there, you'll see some of that. And we've accomplished a lot, and we're gearing up again to, there's my website, and that needs to be updated too, certainly. But we are gearing up for our certifications again, now that we're sort of over this last year and a half. And it's nice where we can pick up where we left off and carry on with our mission to help others the way what we've done that has helped us, and keep on keeping on. At 73 and 83, I think we're doing pretty good, huh?
Yeah, it's not bad to move slow, just don't stop.
That's right. Oh gosh, don't stop. Because what is it that you say about the devil's playground in the mind? When the mind gets to be overactive, right? It becomes the devil's playground.
Yeah, an empty mind is a devil's playground. Yeah. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And the average person, 77%, research has proven that 77% of the population are negative. They're thinking more negative than positive. They may have positive moments, but most of what they're thinking is negative. 70-some% of what they're thinking is negative. So it's hard for somebody like that to really believe in anything, let alone if you're having a thing like myself with Parkinson. Can you imagine what the average person would get out of that if they kept thinking negative? It would turn out to escalate it.
Well,
so it would be difficult to keep it at bay. I am no worse than I was 10 years ago when I was diagnosed. I still have little tremors here and there, and once in a while I have, what happens with Parkinson's people is they have a little
freeze.
Yeah,
little brain freeze.
And for about 5 to 10 seconds you can't think of anything. But that is less frequent and less frequent than it was before. And before I got into where it was getting worse, so to speak. I had reversed that part, and now I can say that I'm used to it. It's not uncomfortable, and it gives a message out to other people. No matter what affliction you pick up along the way of life, you can always find an opportunity there. My opportunity with it is, if I can say, why me, Lord? Why not me, Lord? Because I'm a warrior, and I want to do things to help people. So that's the key. When you have a disease of any sort that is, and one even taking your life, think of what you can do that you can set an example when you're not in this world any longer.
You know, I think it was a couple of days ago, I listened to Joy FM. Do you listen to Joy FM? It's really rewarding. It's peaceful. And Dr. Charles Stanley comes on. If you're up early like I am, at 5:30, Dr. Charles Stanley comes on. And I don't remember it was in his message or in my Jesus Always book. It might have been that, because that's how I start my morning every single morning. And there was something in there talking about asking God to use you as a vessel. And how do we know that we are in that moment as a vessel? How do we know that this is what we're doing? And the message was, when you feel it. And like we were just saying, getting emotional about it. Getting emotional about it. And I have a job that I'm doing working at home. And I get off the phone and I talk about the people that I'm working with. And I know what that message is now. Because not only am I doing that to help my friend, to help these patients, but also with using our platform here on We Beam TV with our primetime show. I don't know if we've hit 200 episodes yet. Have we, guys? What episode number is this? 199? We're going to hit the 200 mark.
We've done that many.
199 episodes. Why? Another one of my favorite words, passion. It's our passion to do this. And even when I was at the Home Shopping Network, we were doing our passion to help service people that are looking to buy something and make sure that they're buying the right thing. And then even my husband came on, sold this book out, right?
Yeah.
We sold the Heart Math Experience on HSN as well. We still live that. And by the way, I've got something free for you today. And I'm pretty sure they're still offering it. If you Google, do a search for the Heart Math Experience. In fact, I think it's on both my website and my husband's, Dennis-Kelly.com and BarbaraMarville.com. You'll see the Heart Math Experience, and you will learn everything that has been kind of condensed into these PDFs and videos to where you can learn what we've been living all these years. And my husband became certified, gosh, back in 1997, 1996, or even 1996.
Twice.
2 times. But what they've done is they've put this together so anyone can learn these skill sets. Here it is right here. Thanks, guys, for doing that. Because you'll be able to see what the Heart Math Experience is all about and start implementing that in your own life experience. You will be surprised. It all makes sense. We have it at the children's level, which I became licensed with, and I tested that out on my grandson, and I thought if he could give me 5 minutes, I'll be happy. He gave me 35 minutes.
Yeah, that's unusual because he has attention deficit disorder.
He was only 6 years old at the time, and I thought, just 5 minutes, I'll be happy. Because, at that age, they have the attention span of a gnat. They cannot sit still long enough, right? But he sat there with his pad, and he was going through the kids' program, and he'd look up at me, and he'd look back. He lasted 35 minutes. So if a 6-year-old can buy into this program at a child's level, imagine what adults can do. So I just want to mention that because that wasn't even on my mind earlier today because I wanted to really dive into some of the points of your book. I'm not trying to sell the book. We don't have very many left. That's why we have to get a new one in print, which that's what we're doing. And part of the edition is going to be how to champion the champion within. There's a champion in every single one of us. And so that's your next mission, along with getting your athlete missing papers, the world-class athlete. You're going to get that done. And we're moving on. I'm still working on my book series, and hopefully we'll get that, the Dragon. And gosh, I mean, being home was really, you find the good in it. Okay, what have we been trying to do all these years, right?
Right, absolutely. Well, it's funny because you don't realize how important a single thought can be if you keep it coming. It's just manufactures so much to compare to whatever you're thinking, whatever you've been imagining, providing it was with passion. And now there's basically 4 laws, and everything we've done is tied into those 4 laws. Law number 1 is the law of attraction. Everything you think about and dream about, you attract. So that's a law that no matter whether you realize it or not, you live by that law every hour, every minute. Then once you realize that that's a law, that existence of that law changes your life dramatically, you get into the law of deliberate creation. Well, if I got this, that everything I think about and I bring about, well, I want to start thinking some good things.
That's right.
You make a decision. That's so simple. Just make people that I'm looking to be happy. I can't. If I find the right person, I'll be happy. When I get that red Corvette, I'll be happy. That's the biggest lie in the world. I'll be happy when I get this. So that's why law number 2 you can't do unless you understand law number 1. Now you understand law number 1? Then get off your butt and go to law number 2. Law number 2, the art of deliberate creation. Like I said, that basically you know from law number 1 that in law number 2 it's been documented and so on, what you think about you bring about. So then you go to law number 3. That's the hardest law of the 4 laws. Law number 3 is a law of allowing. Allowing other people to do what they want to do even though they don't want you to do what you want to do. Don't try to change people. The law of allowing is allow these people, unless they're doing something immoral or illegal, of course not. Allow these people to enjoy the law of whatever they're doing, and whatever they're doing, don't try to change it unless, like I said, it's detrimental to your health and so on. So you have, but if you do the first 2 laws, chances are you won't be the kind of person that will do bad on the 3rd law. You let people do what they want to do, then they have a better attitude, they feel better around you, and so on. Law number 4, the law of deliberate, law number 4 is the law of atrophy. What you don't use, you lose. So make sure that the spirit that thinks positive things and looks at life as a wonderful, wonderful gift from God, that law is so easy to follow. And try to, when you have an association with people, try to see to it when they leave your presence that they feel better about themselves.
Exactly. And we are running out of time.
We are?
I know. It was.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm not. It's less than a minute remaining.
Wow.
I hope that you enjoyed some of our skill sets that we've really had to dig deep, even a little deeper the last couple of years, but it can be done, and we're moving forward, we're moving upward. We're back in the studio, hopefully, every week on Mondays from 2 to 3, and we hope that you will join us. We have some great things in store that we actually didn't get to do because of you know what. I'm just not going to say the word. But God bless each and every one of you. Enjoy one another and know that life is really a celebration while we're on this side of the dirt. So celebrate life. We're trying to do that every day, finding something to be grateful for because there's plenty to be grateful for. Thanks again for joining us on Prime Time. We'll see you next week.